the feints, the foot movement, the way he lands shots. He fights like a boxer. He doesn't fight like a guy who's trying to box in a celebrity boxing match.
Let that sink in.
Jake
That's
Paul,
boxing right
Gervonta Davis is so crazy. 135 versus 200.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Joe Rogan has once again shaken up the fight world with his bold prediction about the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis matchup. The UFC commentator didn't hold back, saying Jake Paul's size and weight advantage could seriously hurt Tank's career if they meet in the ring. Rogan said that while Gervonta is one of the most powerful punchers in boxing, he's just too small to deal with Jake's strength, reach, and overall size.
My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm an idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
that
everybody.
had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it,
watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in. They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in.
Rogan also admitted that Jake Paul has truly improved as a boxer. He said if Paul didn't come from YouTube, people would respect his rise even more because he actually knows how to fight, has real ring awareness, and doesn't just throw wild punches. But Rogan warned that facing Gervonta Davis is extremely dangerous. He explained that Davis is on another level with his skill and knockout power, and if Paul underestimates him, things could go very wrong.
What do you think of this Jake Paul fella?
I always say that if Jake Paul was not a YouTube star, people just looked at him like an up-and-coming boxer, you would say, this kid's got a lot of fucking talent. He's dangerous. I think his strength is that they underestimate him because of what his background was. And they think there's no way that some guy who became famous off of YouTube is going to be an actual legit boxer. If you look at what he's done, he's a very good boxer.
Paul, I understand people saying, Gervonta got to go get his money, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, he got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit. That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just think that it's a disgrace to boxing.
Well, we got to play devil's advocate because people were saying, well, Ryan, you called out Jake Paul before too, so how would you say that? What do you have to say to the people that were saying that to you?
Well, I'm way bigger than Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is 5'4", and his last fight was at 133. My last fight was 147, and I walk around 170. So, I mean, 170 to 190, whatever, however big is not too much difference. But you got Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like, when I fought him, he's small. Yeah. So I just think it's a very unfair fight. Nobody was complaining when Jake Paul was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez. Right. Nobody was complaining when he's fighting Anthony Joshua. And I still think Jake Paul's a cool dude. But shit, he's calling me out on my shit. I'm gonna call him out on his shit, bro. That's a fucking disgrace of a fight. Yeah. You know it. Just like Mike Tyson, low key was a disgrace, but we accepted it. But he was 60 years old. I mean, right. What the fuck are we talking about 60.
Here? That's crazy.
Sean Porter views this matchup through the eyes of a veteran, calling it a reflection of where boxing is heading. He says today's generation seems more focused on quick paychecks than long-term greatness. In his view, Gervonta Davis has joined the list of fighters chasing money rather than legacy. Porter explains that legends of the past risked their records for glory, fighting the best to cement their names in history. Now, many fighters prioritize brand deals, social media fame, and short-term profit. He insists that Tank is one of the most talented fighters alive, but says is wasting their potential on sideshow events instead of true championship battles. Porter doesn't just blame Davis. He blames the growing trend of money-driven matchups that are slowly eroding boxing's soul.
Why are you doing that? How do you sort of see this scenario now for him?
Yeah, I don't really know how to feel about it, what to really say about it. I've only been asked this when it's been presented to me. That's when I think about it. And I can't really come up with a good answer for it. In a lot of ways, it doesn't make sense to me. Of course, we know the size differential and the list goes on from there. I don't know, man. I think we're entering a generation now, or a phase now where fighters, I don't know. I don't know if it's fighters. I don't know if he doesn't care about the legacy, or if he feels like this fight doesn't matter. I'll get back to the legacy. I just don't know. This is truly not. It's not a legacy fight, but of course it is a generational money fight, so.
Many analysts argue that the problem isn't just with the fighters, it's with the audience itself. They claim the modern fan base feeds the circus. Real, technical bouts between elite boxers often go unnoticed, while exhibition and influencer fights dominate headlines. They blame social media's short attention span for shifting boxing's focus from substance to drama. The analysts say the Jake Paul phenomenon isn't his fault alone. It's the audience rewarding chaos over craft. When fans tune in only for trash talk and viral moments, serious fighters lose the motivation to take risks for respect. They also point out that this fan-driven trend has blurred the line between professional bouts and entertainment acts. Real champions fight for belts. Influencers fight for clicks. And as long as fans keep buying those pay-per-views, the balance of power will stay in favor of spectacle over sport.
Thing has evolved to where it's at. I'll expand on that. For one, you have good fights where I'm not talking about these type of fights, crossover type of fight, former Disney guy, influencer stuff. Not. And Jake Paul has really promoted himself and acquitted himself to the point where he's kind of a boxer. Now, he hasn't fought the top names. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But he's doing his thing. He's training like a boxer. He's not like taking it lightly, like streaming and then working on his YouTube more than he's working on his boxing. It is what it is, right? But beyond that, let's keep it going. I told you I'm about to really get unpacked. Subscribe to the channel. The reality is, the reason why I'm saying I blame you, the fans, is because we've had some very good fights. Like David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, whatever. I'm talking in the last 5-10 years, right? Very good fights, all boxing. So not talking influencer or any type of crossover fight, right? Good fights. And then you got boxing fans in a niche sport who didn't further the exposure by advertising or buying the fight, mostly buying the fight with piracy and whatnot. So now we're at a point in this society where these companies, they're like, all right, they see the piracy is a problem. Now they're looking for a sure shot, must win type of scenarios. That's why we're getting these fights that some people, purists and diehards, are calling wonky fights. You know what I mean? It is your fault.
One major concern shared by professionals is the massive size difference between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Jake naturally walks around at cruiserweight, while Tank's true division is lightweight. Analysts stress that even though Davis is far more skilled, the physics of boxing still apply: reach, weight, and power matter. They warn that putting Tank against Jake in a sanctioned fight would be unfair and potentially dangerous. Jake can absorb punches from much bigger men and keep swinging, while Tank, despite his knockout power, will have to close distance against someone far taller and stronger. Critics argue that such mismatches shouldn't even be sanctioned under normal boxing standards. On paper, the fight favors Jake in size, but favors Tank in speed and skill, yet the imbalance makes it controversial. For traditionalists, it's proof that boxing's rules are bending under the weight of entertainment.